everyone is here. So, yeah, I guess I'll let Lion, or no, oh yes, he's here. Lion take this over for the Denkun part. Yeah, because he's been spearheading a bit all those like variable choices and whatever. So, Lion, maybe can you go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I should share my screen. 1 second. I'm on Linux and it's complicated. Firefox. This one. Okay, can you guys see the Denkun MD?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We are still updating this, but I think all of our decisions are final. So the three EAPs that we were considering for modifications are EAP 4788, 4844, and 7514. So let's go one by one. First one, the 4788. So we were considering two different parameters. So first, there is a ring buffer parameter that changes how old are the roots that one can retrieve from this contract. So we believe that this parameter is not that important. The only consideration it has to consumers is if you want to prove something on chain to say Lido or something, what this parameter affects is what is the maximum offset that you have between proof generation and proof submission. It does not affect the frequency of usage of this parameter or anything else, just how much time can happen between when you retrieve some beacon state, computed the Merkle proofs, and then submitted on chain. Then, due to the fact that the deployment strategy would allow to have the same address across every single network, including all Ethereum testnets and Gnosis, this has a very critical effect on basically any sort of tooling or smart contract that wants to use this feature. If we now change anything, it means that the address would be different. So that is a sacrifice that I think it's not worth it to increase basically this offset, that it's not that important in practice. So for this reason, EAP 4844 will stay the same. So same ring buffer, same address. We don't have to change anything, and it will be the same address in our case. Any comments for this? I'm sure, did I hear a click? Someone was asking.
You said EAP 4844, but it's 4788.
Okay. Sorry. Confusing numbers. So
For me, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, please.
Yeah, I wanted to say that it happened for me many times on all core devs.
Okay. So the next one is 4844. So we did a test this morning, and we spammed the network with different block sizes. Definitely block sizes way above the number. I can share this. Like the network was close to non-finalization for a couple epochs. During this time, we managed to achieve blocks of close to the 30 million gas limit, which with all data. And definitely the network struggled at that time. The average block processing time exceeded like 3 seconds. Due to this, the sync committee participation dropped to very low levels, as well as the head participation. The target participation remained high enough. That's why the network could finalize, but there is definitely some degradation. So this is something that can happen today if someone wants to deliberately spam the network. This has been known for a long time. It's nothing new. But we are collecting data with this, and I think we would either pick the 2 blob target or 3 blob target. It doesn't make a huge difference. It basically would increase the maximum size of the blob package by about 20 to 30%. Plus, you have to keep in mind that the beacon chain is optimized in this regard because you don't send the block and the blobs at once, you send them separately. So the effects on bandwidth shouldn't be that bad. So I think on this range down here, we try to have blocks that were not that big. So maybe going for 4 or 3 blobs per block. And definitely the network suffers, but not that much. So I don't think we have a final parameter here, but I'm not that concerned. I mean, it's definitely a bit worrying. What will suffer the most from a practical perspective is the sync committee, because getting the head wrong is not that critical, and this is something that is already happening today. As you can see, the head participation is not perfect. But yeah, still looking into it. We'll post the results. Any comment on this so far?
Lion, do you have statistic about EL processing and CL processing in this case, or it's not possible? So, for example, how much time we spent on EL processing and yeah.
I have to add the charts, but you guys gave me the metrics, right?
Okay. I wasn't aware.
Yeah, we should, if we are collecting Nethermind metrics, we should have it, yes. But I haven't looked at it yet.
Okay, great. One comment is that it should improve soon when this new storage layout. Maybe not soon. Soon is not a good word here, but we are working to, and for early test, we got 50% better block processing time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious to see how much of this is actual processing time and how much is like just propagation. But anyway, one point that's clear from here is that spam is a concern. So I would be very kind to set the mean blob gas price to something that's not one way. Is that a comment or a hand?
Yeah, me, sorry. I was just for the thing before with Nethermind improving like the processing speed. Do we have that information for Erigon as well? Like the time it takes to process a block and maybe to propagate it. Do we have like those metrics?
You're asking me?
I guess I'm asking Andrew or someone from Erigon, Samnat.
No, we probably don't have those metrics.
Okay, and do you have maybe like an internal like testing for this, or I mean, do you have empirical evidence for anything or some speed, or do you have like no idea?
Well, no idea at this point.
Okay. I mean, is Erigon at this point considered ready for validating or production ready or not?
Yeah, it is ready, but we haven't like. I personally haven't tested performance characteristics of that.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay, so this is just a brief analysis of like the economics of blobs and their costs. Basically, if we set the mean blob gas price to one GUI, if there is no usage of both block space and blob space, we will still have an improvement in fees of a factor of 16 between the cost per byte inside of Caldera or inside the blob. So I think that's good enough and kind of the promise of EIP 4844. And even the cost of a blob at these levels is really low. So one blob in Gnosis would cost 0.0001 USD, when in Ethereum today, I think it's about $100. So it's still a massive price difference. And so I don't see any application that would not be able to pay such a fee to use blobs, and we would be not really protected because it's still incredibly cheap, but it will go from practically a negligible amount where anyone just getting one faucet distribution could spam blobs for an hour to some amount that's not 0 but closer to 1. So I would very rather set the mean blob gas price to 1 GUI, so we have the symmetry between this and the priority fee. Any comments on this?
Is it a new variable for Gnosis specifically? Because I think it doesn't exist, mean blob gas price.
I mean, this one is listed on the EIP.
Okay. What is the value on Ethereum mainnet? Do you know?
1 way.
Okay.
So in Gnosis would be 10 to the 9. So we were chatting about this with Philip, and he was bringing up if we should go even a bit higher and maybe set it to 2 or to 10. The thing is, I think it's still a relatively cheap amount for spam protection. And then we go into some opinionated territory, and the fact that there would not longer be the symmetry of a factor of 16 between cold data and blob sounds weird. Like if we make blobs more expensive than cold data, then what is the point of this EIP at all? So just 1 way feels like the most neutral value with the current settings of the network. And maybe we can revise this on the future. Cool. And then the last one is EIP 7514. So this one, I don't think I have the doc open. Can you guys link it again?
Do you mean your issue or?
No, Igor's doc.
Oh,
just drop it on the
on
the call chat.
Yeah, dropped.
Is it publicly accessible now, or?
Can you guys see the doc?
Yes.
Cool. So the original purpose of this proposal for Ethereum was to bound state growth, and Gnosis suffers from the same issues, but at an insanely higher scale. The fact that our quotient factor is so low, if someone wanted to deposit validators today, they could bring the validator size to 1 million in about a week. So this has not been brought up as much as in Ethereum because there is not such a demand, but it's still very concerning. So we definitely want to choose a value that makes sense and that sets the growth to something that's sensible. I think like the original selection of the quotient factor at Genesis was not very sane. So basically here we have 3 competing trade-offs. I think I explained it here. So we have the trade-off between these 4 things. So we want to make the time for an adversarial takeover high. We want to make the maximum state size that we can achieve in, say, a year as low as possible to ensure that the network doesn't blow up, while keeping the possible growth to some, I mean, not something that's way too restricted. So if the chain wants to grow and there is more demand and more stake wants to onboard, that we can process it, because the current stake levels are not awesome, and if they are higher, that would be great. And ideally, we don't want to have a queue of 3 months to process the stake. So these are the 4 competing angles. So the first one, let's see. So the current demand is way lower than those values that we're talking about. So the values that we're considering for the churn are, say, 1, 2, 3, 4 on this range. just to give you perspective, on Ethereum, it can, after EIP 7514, it will be able to process 1.25 validators per minute. And the value that we are proposing for, which is 2, is 1.5. So it's on the order of Ethereum. What the demand that we had so far has never exceeded 0.3 validators per epoch. So even a value of 2 would comfortably be able to accommodate all the demand that we have through the year. Then the other variable is how long it will take for an attacker to do a malicious takeover of 66%. That's what we are most concerned about. So again, today it will take a week. If we go for the value of 2, it would take about 150 days at the current size, and this will just keep increasing as long as we have more validators. So I would say anything above 2 months, it's very comfortable. And here we would be already at half a year just with the current size and just increasing. Even with a value of 3, we would be pretty good. Not as good as with the current size. I think, if I remember, the value would be 90 days. So 150 is definitely better. So the value of 2 has a good compromise where hopefully we would not exceed demand. I think this can only be a concern once we go to 1 million validators. The maximum week-over-week percentage of growth that the value of 2 allows would be about 2%. So this relative growth, we have achieved it, I think, on the month of March. This represented about 3% week-over-week. However, by the time that we reach 1 million, this would be a year into the future. Hopefully, by the time this AIP would be obsolete and there would be some other economic mechanism to deal with state growth. So I'm not that concerned. We are basically deciding between 2 and 3, preferring for 2. Any comments so far or about this config selection? Cool. So yeah, that's all the pending values. So with that, we would set the tentative values that we set. So EIP 74 would stay at the same as Ethereum. EIP 4844 would have 1 giga here, and then 2 and 4, and this one would be 2. Is that a hand or a comment?
Yeah, I just got a question. Like, say if we want to change one of these values in the future, does it require a hard fork?
Yes.
So for this one, it requires a
Yeah.
hard fork, and it will require code changes on consensus, so it will be very difficult. I think these ones will require a hard fork, but would only be a concern for execution, right?
Yes, exactly.
And this one it's eliminated.
So probably we have to be very careful now with this churn limit, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's probably the one that spent the most time thinking about it by far.
Should we try the next DevNet with new 4844 parameters?
Yeah. Like, I think that even the current mainnet, the 336 is still close enough to what we may do. Like, we just need a bit more time to process the data of the big block experiment. And even then, I think it's going to be more of a guess of what makes the most sense. I don't think there's going to be a massive difference between 2.4 and 3.6. Like I remember even in Ethereum, the discussion was very vague. Like no one spoke very loudly because no one had a strong opinion. Things were very fuzzy. There was data, but there is a significant margins of error and a lot of uncertainty. So at the end, it's just do the best educated guess and hope that's fine.
And what I can say for mainnet right now, we built tool for spamming with blobs, and when we started the spamming, lots of client combination broke, and we had many issues. But probably it's more bugs in the clients. But yeah, we will do it definitely for Gnosis DevNets.
Got it. Do you recall what some of the failure modes?
So I don't remember something related to blob transaction pool, because in EL side, blob transaction pool is different than normal transaction pool.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, for example, because Nethermind had problems as well, it was problems, and it's still not perfect in blob transaction pool. I don't know what happened, for example, in Bizu, and maybe Andrew can comment on Erigon. Oh, and Marcin was doing this spamming test.
Yeah, so on Bezel, it was basically they didn't have like they were accepting blob transaction without any limits, so just out of memory. So they need to just add some limit. And for us, like we had a bug with requesting blob transactions, which we already had in the pool. It's already fixed, but it added like a lot of sending in the network of these blob transactions, and it was probably the hardest thing for the DevNet. And as Nethermind, we have some issues when we have a lot of blob transactions and we are building a block. Like I observed that above 6,000 transactions, we are sometimes missing slots, but it happened only for transactions with 6 blobs each. Like right now, I spam the network and looking at it again, but with only one blob transaction, and it's totally fine. Like today evening or tomorrow, I'm planning to do another round of testing with 6 blob transactions. Maybe it's already solved. If not, it will be solved in a few days. So it's right now. Nethermind and probably other clients too are in better shape than when it was so hard for DevNet 8.
Okay, thanks for the update. Cool. So that closes the Denkun parameters section. Let's move on, Philip.
Yes, let me share my screen again. 1 sec. All right. So Marcos, have there been any updates to Hive tests?
Yeah, we are moving forward. We already merged the things from the upstream of Denkun, and then now we're starting fixing the errors. I will be in touch with Igor during this week and next one to see if we can catch up as fast as possible. That's all.
Thank you. Nethermind, do you have any updates in general?
Well, we're working on a chapter and building a block producing foundation for it and exploring the other stuff relating it. And no other updates from me. Maybe Marek has some.
Yeah, one important update that we mentioned on Telegram is that in the new version there is no more XDAI configs. So I noticed one user reported problem with Avado, I guess, So it's important to communicate this.
Is this a new? I mean, has it been released already?
Yes.
But that's version 1.21 then.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it would be better to remove this config at some point, even if it would be a bit painful, but better to do it before the hard fork than.
Yeah, of course. No, that's good. Are there any news regarding the DevNet? Because I think 2 weeks ago we said it was going to be, well, at the latest start of last week, I think.
Yeah, just wanted to share that updates. I finally managed to run the DevNet 0. I've been trying. It's running right now only with Nethermind clients and Teku and Loadstar, but I guess it will be adding Lighthouse soon. I had some couple of issues just yesterday in the night, so I'm not completely sure yet what was the cause, but I think it's something relating to peering. But yeah, that's basically it. I will be, if I manage to fix it, I will be sharing configs on Telegram after the meeting. So yeah, the team working on that. Also, we have set up the blob scan as well, so you guys can check it about blobs, and also included the blob spammer. So yeah, basically we have it the start point right now with the DevNets.
Okay, so you said you have Teku and Loadstar, right? And Nethermind. Lighthouse, I mean, I read something about Lighthouse, right? You can't use like custom configs or something. Does that still not work?
Yeah, I think it is configuration because they don't have. There is this trusted set of file they have configured for mainnet. I think it's the same for all the networks they have, but it says Lighthouse team doesn't have it on the Gnosis specs, so it's probably something that it should be added on their configuration. They shared some me with some flags that I should try out to include this when testing again, but haven't tried yet.
Okay. Because yeah, I think on Shadow up until like a few weeks ago, it was still the only way to run it actually on Lighthouse. I'll send you a link of what we had before. Maybe that will do it, but yeah, I'm sure you've tested it already, so maybe they changed something. I'm not sure. Okay, so was that it for Nethermind? Okay, Erigon, any news?
No news.
Actually, there is. It appears that the header download functionality might be acting up a little bit at times. So I'm trying to reach the bottom of this issue. And for transaction pool, although spamming is handled, but I have not really tested it with Gnosis configuration. So both transaction pool and validator for Erigon on Gnosis configuration, probably for Chiado, needs to be tested. I mean, it should work, but we haven't really done some extensive testing work on that. So I think probably I will head onto that as well.
So did you say there was a spamming issue with the transaction pool and Erigon?
No, should not be, but we haven't really spammed it hard enough. It actually,
okay,
we have.
I'm not sure I understood then your update. What was related to the transaction pool?
The fact that it works with Gnosis configuration on a Gnosis mainnet, so it should work, but it hasn't gone through extensive testing, transaction pool testing, as well as validator testing for Gnosis mainnet and Chiado.
Do you mean normal transactions or blob pool transactions?
Both actually. So it works fine with mainnet, Hive tests, and devnets, but I don't know. It should not have any issue with Gnosis, but we haven't done much testing.
why was there a doubt that it didn't work?
Unforeseen issues, probably.
Okay, I'm not sure. I mean, the transaction pool, I mean, it worked before, right? Because we have the Erigon RPCs and they just work, or is that something else? I'm not sure. I'm confusing something, maybe?
No, it should work. No issues.
Okay.
there.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to Geth then. I think Guillaume is here, yes.
Yeah. I hope there's not too much wind because unfortunately I had to be outside. Yeah, so I managed to sync about 1.5 million blocks. And then Geth is running out of memory. So I am trying to figure out why. But that's on the old branch. So on the new branch, I did a rebase to support withdrawals, and I've been cleaning up a lot of code in the process. Currently, it's not syncing the network. I don't know why. So I'm also investigating this, but hopefully everything is gonna fall back into place as soon as I have figured why the new branch doesn't sync. But yeah, so overall, it's nice. It's nice that I'm able to sync 1.5 million blocks, probably more in the future. But I have to find out. There's got to be a memory leak somewhere that I have to find and fix. And yep, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, thank you. For the infrastructure gateway, it's running 100% of the RPC traffic of the Gnosis RPC. And that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. There was something about, well, that's that actually. So okay, yeah. So the two contracts, the beacon root thing are deployed on both chains already. So that's fine. And I think that's it from my side. Does anyone have any comments or questions? I'll take that as a no. Yeah, so if I mean, there's this Gnosis Chain spec folder, repo, sorry. If anyone wants to go comment here on the issues for the variables, if someone has maybe, I don't know, potential issues they can think about like the gas prices, the blob things, whatever. Feel free to go comment, and if not, maybe even approve the like pull the pull requests if you or issues or whatever if you agree that this is correct, just so that you have another set of eyes on them, and yeah. So yeah, if that's it, then thanks for joining and see you next week.
Okay, bye guys.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye, everyone.
Thanks, bye.